Hello everyone, I all hope you had a very much quite of a beautiful day and also quite of a very much of a great day indeed. Sorry for actually shooting this late. I was quietly busy walking my dog known as Universe, trying to give her some fresh air as well, and also was quietly doing house chores as well. Regardless of that, guys, I'm superly grateful for your guys' support and for those of you who are quietly still watching me from shorts and from long videos in YouTube, and from those of you who are quietly particularly subscribing, and from those of you particularly in TikTok as well. For those of you who are actually quietly following me and also commenting and all of that, your support quietly means a lot to me, and I'm very much quietly, supremely grateful for your guys' support. May you have a blessed weekend. I'll see you on Monday. I'll be able to upload this episodes for some of you on shorts, and I'll be able to upload the rest of the entire episodes on TikTok for some of you who are actually watching it on TikTok. But regardless of that, guys, keep doing what you're doing and keep pushing. I'm also quietly rooting for you. Let me not exactly waste any time for those of you actually watching shorts, so you can all exactly have a piece of the episode and of the character that I'm about to exactly speak about. Today's episode is about Danny, who is a very powerful, formidable dark druid, and who is a very powerful, deadly servant of Lord Shadowjack's empire. That's been quietly rumored and known throughout the entire known universe and throughout the entire known galaxy for its true purpose and destructive calling for conquering many thousands of known worlds and planets and civilization in order for Lord Shadowjack to spread his true supreme in order for Lord Shadowjack to spread his true supreme ruling and his power through many known civilizations of the entire known universe. Regardless of that, Danny the Dark Druid, Danny the Great Dark Druid, quietly believes in Lord Shadowjack's true great individual, in true great individual in ruling and conquering many worlds and many planets, which he helps him by providing him with endless unlimited abomination of his greatest, deadliest, most creations of all, which he creates with highly destructive and highly destructive advanced technology, where he continues to supplying it to the members of the most powerful terrorist criminal organizations, which are quietly still roaming on planet Earth, and they are the most powerful, dangerous group of all that Danny has able to exactly forming alliances with them and aiding them with their criminal activities, which he continues to supplying these dangerous groups of criminal organizations with the destructive technology from Lord Shadowjack's empire, not from the actual Shadow Empire itself as well. Regardless of that, Danny is a very formidable dark servant, and who's a very mysterious powerful and formidable, supremely dark sorceress druid of all. He is very known to be ruthless and very heartless and very naturous in his true nature. But through all that, he's solely dedicated to making sure that Lord Shadowjack's reign remains supreme and remains unchallenged throughout the entire known universe and the rest of sacred existence. He does hate the Formation Hunters and the rest of all the sacred hunters and all their allies, but despite that, he will not show remorse or any sense of humor when coming to fighting up against his master and lord's forces, or any obstacle of obstruction that dares to precisely to get in the way of his sole purpose of his mission. So let's exactly get into it. Danny the Dark Druid was quite a powerful, formidable servant during the earlier years when planet Nebula was quietly founded and led by the most powerful, dangerous, dark supreme sorcerers known as Lemona Bringer and Jake Bringer, who are the greatest two parents of Lord Shadowjack. Despite that, he was quietly at their side for many centuries and for many years, since the great chaos bringer known as Jack the Chaos Bringer, who was known by many different names and many different aliases before he became Lord Shadowjack in his true reincarnation form. Regardless of that, Danny the Dark Druid quietly often helped Chaos Bringer Jack, wreaking havoc throughout the entire sacred magic universe so that he can rule it with an iron fist. But he discovered that his master's plan will exactly fail due to the stone fairies and to the wizards and to the stone hunters and to the fairy hunters and to the great formation hunters and to the seven hunters, who are able to exactly immediately to blocking his plan from bearing fruit, and who are able to trapping him in stone. Throughout the following centuries, when Chaosbringer Jack remained in stone, Danny the Dark Druid began his soul sinister plans and goals in making sure that when his master returns, he'll be ready to reclaim what's rightfully his, meaning that his empire had become more formidable, more darker, and more highly stronger than any other empire ever known. Due to that, his high-ranking officials still exactly worshipped him, and still exactly remain loyal and highly trustworthy to their leader and master known as Lord Shadowjack, who they quietly know in a different name and who they quietly don't know in another name known as Chaos Bringer Jack. Despite that, Danny the Dark Druid exactly began orchestrating movements and sinister plans to begin taking place to beginning taking effective operational plans for the operation itself to begin its true mission and its true destiny mission as well in the process. In the earlier centuries when Chaosbringer Jack was quietly freed from when he was quietly able to discover a way to free himself from the imprisonment of the statue stone. He managed to project a physical copy of himself as a clone to become Lord Shadowjack in reincarnation, while his real body and his true powers remain inside the stone statue's dimension for all eternity. Despite that, he was able to become and rename himself as Lord Shadowjack, where he began a sinister empire and a campaign to conquering many more worlds and many more planets in the process. On the great 30th century, Lord Shadowjack began a full invasion on the other worlds and civilization, where he frequently clashed with the founder and leader of an ancient secret society known as the Sacred Circle, with the leader known as Lord Ra. Together, the both of them were solely impressed of their given abilities and of their powers that they were able to make a higher, greater proposition to aiding each other on their respective conquests and sole missions, that they will both exactly remain the sole supreme rulers of the entire sacred universe and on the rest of sacred society, which in doing so, the ancient secret society known as the Sacred Circle, which is an organization, would also in effect prevent Lord Shadowjack from invading planet Earth and from laying waste to humanity, which in doing so would also make sure that that a long mysterious colleagues plan will also be solidified in a far future of the conflict that would also solely benefit him to remaining the sole supreme rulers of the entire known universe and of the rest of sacred existence in the process. Despite that, Danny was quietly impressed with these creatures' abilities and their powers and their greater powers and their abilities as well. Solely proud and solely impressed of their supernatural powers and ability, that he told his master to actually reconsider making a deal and an offer, because in the far future they might gain a powerful supernatural army that might exactly use to begin their sole long-term plan of conquest as well, which his master graciously accepted as well. Over the following centuries and years after the proposition has been made, Danny the Dark Druid exactly continuing his sinister schemes and plan, literally continues to supplying powerful, dangerous, sinister alien agents and deadly, sinister alien criminals and deadly Phoenician hunter criminals, supernatural criminals that come from the sacred great nation, some from the great sacred society of the sacred world's inner system, which houses many great powerful formidable cities with his destructive and abomination creations of highly modified and highly advanced destructive technologies of bombs and highly unknown unspeakable monsters as creation that he managed to create and duplicate with his own various dark magical abilities as well in the process. Despite that, Danny became very highly observant and very highly key-minded in observing humanity's movements and planning and orchestration throughout the following years and centuries, seeing that there are powerful, dangerous criminal organizations that are gracefully rising within the earlier years as well. On the earlier years, Danny, the Dark Druid, made a highly powerful secretive pact with a powerful human criminal organization known as the Outer Circle. To actually agreeing to supply them with more destructive technology of his master's empire, not from the Shadow Empire, which in turns out the criminal organization would use the destructive technology to creating mass chaos and mass destruction in its wake with the devices and with the technology. And Danny made a high secretive pact with the leader of the organizations, with the two founding leaders of the great organization itself, or either the group, which is quietly known by different, many powerful aliases as the group or as the sinister outer circle of the group, or the combo circle of the group, or the shadowy circle organization, which is quietly known by many different aliases and many different names as well. The two founding leaders accepted the proposition in the pact with Daniel the Dark Druid on the earlier years throughout the sinister sacred histories earlier years, where Danny agreed to supply them with the destructive technology as long as they destroy and crush his most formidable enemies and dangerous opponents of his master's true goals and plans in the process as well. On the earlier years, when Danny literally arrived on the sacred great nation, on the sacred great nation's homelands, he was quietly in a different disguise. He was quietly in a different disguisable form where he was able to literally shield his face and protect it from being identified. He was able to speak with the powerful conspirators of the great sacred nations, with the sacred world's great sacred nations, able to telling them that they must do everything in their power to make sure that the conflicts and the wars continue to rain down upon the sacred world's secret societies, that in doing so will further weaken its conflict in a more further way, and the leaders of the great sacred nations will furtherly suffer major losses and major casualties, which will be very beneficial for him and for his armies as well. And the great conspirators of the great sacred nations of the great conspirators of the great sacred nations of the sacred world agreed that they'll also too benefit by making a substantial vote against the failing leader who will not be able to take up the mantle or to lead up the other great nations, or the other sacred great nations of the sacred world, which the Four-Nation Hunters will always exactly do what the origin races intended to do, by making sure that there's peace and balance and great instability among the sacred great nations. The Four-Nation Hunters quietly had to take up the responsibility of the origins, which, like I said on the other episodes about the origins, that they were the most powerful Omega peacekeepers of the entire sacred universe and of the entire sacred world and of the rest of the entire sacred great nations. So the Four-Nation Hunters are to become the new alphas and the new omegas of the entire sacred universe's peace treaty, and of the cosmic peace treaty, and of the rest of the ancient peace treaties that the other sacred great clans and great nations have quietly formed throughout the following past centuries. But during the Warring States, the sinister forces of evil began secretly manipulating and facilitating wars and conflicts. Some were not exactly involved, others were precisely involved in creating wars and also in resorting in heavily scrutiny violence as well in the process itself, just to keep informed. Regardless of that, the conspirators exactly agreed that they will actually do their part and their mission, as long as Danny the Dark Druid will keep them informed by giving them substantial information and forbidden techniques and secrets of different powers and abilities to controlling, manipulating wood, stone, sand, earth, and water, metal, different elemental powers and abilities, and air powers and wind powers, and basic nature transformational forms and powers, which they could easily accelerate their powers and ability in a more faster state, where they can actually progress in a more faster state, in a more very highly dangerous state. And Danny the Doctor would agree, then that is what he'll continue to do as well. On the actual excuse me, on the actual 14th of March, Danny the Doctor was quietly present when the criminal organization known as the Outer Circle began its full battle against Warboy and against the free people who come from another different alien, beautiful different crystal alien world that's quietly constantly at war with Lord Shadowjack's people, with Lord Shadowjack's would Lord Shadowjack destructive forces and of his people and of his kind as well, which his home planet is known as Planet Red, which is a most darker and vivid planet that is highly destructive and more highly hostile world and nation of a planet that is constantly at war with the warring states, sinister sister worlds, and planets of the entire sacred magical worlds, and on the entire sacred magical worlds, and of the entire sacred magic universe itself as well. Despite that, Danny the Dark Druid gave the human leader his powerful, highly adaptable, and highly advanced destructive technology to take control of the cosmic freeman, which was able to merge, which the free people were able to merge to become one powerful being in order to fight up against the human criminals. But in doing so, Danny's technology was able to corrupt the human being, the great supernatural soldier, and he was able to tell the human soldier to personally wipe out Warboy and the rest of his allies effectively immediately. But he told the human leader that he rather enjoys watching his prey suffer and all of that, and stating that now that the great powerful free man will be under his master's true control and also become the personal enforcer of his master's true devastating goals and mission of his greatest empire. When Warboy and the other allies able to successfully succeed into removing the corruptive, destructive technology placed on the most powerful being of the free people of the other free worlds, that were able to exactly remove it. And Danny's true face and highly hatred face began initially sinister, changing in a very more angry way, telling the human criminals to fire and destroy the heroes with everything else they got, personally with everything else they can exactly get. When Warboy and the others successfully gain the upper advantage on the battlefield, Danny exactly opened up a portal and told the great heroes that they will all exactly suffer a fate far worse than death, and they will all exactly wish they were never precisely born. Through that end, he threw a powerful dark magical grenade which created a purple dark explosion to cover up his teleportation and for him exactly retrieving through the portal, which was able to do so as well. On the precisely on the precisely day on the day on 27 the day on 27 of July the day on 27 of July, Danny the Doctor was quietly present with Mr. Show, who has become rather a recent who has become a recent associate of Lord Shadowjack, which is like a powerful, sinister human associate of the great, powerful, devastating, dark, apocalyptic empire ever known. But he is rather an associate as well, where he was able to witness Lord Ra opening a portal through the other side of the great landscape of the empire, where Lord Shadowjack was quietly standing and watching over the landscape of his entire empire, of his home planet and nation. And Lord Ra exactly told his long-lasting partner and comrade that is after all completely that they are partners until the end, that it'll always be the business that they've always intended to continue, and that he remarked that they are fully here, ready to do business. And Lord Shadowjack also agreed with a sadistic smile as he completely shook hands with his long-lasting, mysterious colleague for many centuries as well, since the both of them have never seen each other for many decades. And after hearing the Sacred Circle's future plans were sabotaged due to the interference of the Universal Heroes, who have cost them so much of the operatives and of the members they were actually clashing with over as well. On the particular day, on the great particular day, on the 28th of September, Danny the Doctor was quietly present within his systematic laboratory that's quietly actually within the central headquarters of Lord Shadowjack's empire, where he told the Dark Druids and the Dark Witches and the Dark Faithful that it's time for them to begin the sinister dark ritual. Together, they all infused their dark magic and powers, creating a dark magical bubble that opened up a dark magical purplish bubble on the middle surface of the pentagram, which houses many different shadowy dark art symbols of monsters, creatures, and beings as well. the portal began opening as they were able to release a dark and purple being of a creature. And Danny the dog druid told this purple and dark being of a creature that it's time for it to fulfill its soul objectivity as well. On the actual day of the fifth on the actual day of the 6th of November, on the 6th of November, Danny the doctor was quietly in his different human form as he witnessed the mighty world heroes save an entire warring sacred village, from being ravaged, from being secretly ravaged from the sinister, from the great sinister criminal organization known as the Outer Circle. Operatives were quietly assigned to use the alien technology as a test run to show its capabilities and powers to the dark web, in order as a powerful demonstration, to the suppliers and also to the great clients who are willing to bid for the aliens destructive technology in order for them to get more money and more power to get the group's organization moving as well. He was quietly in human disguise form in the shadows, watching the battle within the shadows, because he was quietly within the sacred worlds, within the great sacred worlds, within the great sacred worlds, sacred great nations, warring villages and nation, because those creatures were supernatural creatures, so they wouldn't even exactly notice that a human being was quietly present there, but they actually knew that one of the people can shapeshift into human beings, and some of them can't shapeshift into they can't exactly transform themselves into human beings, but others can. Regardless of that, Danny the dog druid watched as a patiently as a great human being, as a great sinister shapeshifting human being, wearing a very disguised red cloak and hiding his face within the shadows, and he was quietly smiling in a sadistic smile, stating that the outer circle failed miserably with its true given task and purpose and mission as well in the process. On the particular day, on the great 15th of February, Danny the dog druid quietly paid a visit to elderly granny witch's entire asteroid base, where he was able to witness her destructive device destroying the mighty and putting the mighty United Heroes under a substantial fitness of suffering and chaos, and he was quietly laughing and very quietly happy that the device is quietly ready to work, as elderly Granny Witch stated to Danny the dog druid that the device is quietly ready to work, as it's quietly needed to actually work. But despite that, he quietly recommended that there's another way to highly discipline the warriors of Lord Shadowjack's empire, who are highly skillful dark fairy witches, hunters, and bugs, skillful sinister formation hunter, women, and assassins who are quietly raised to becoming the great top enforcer of Lord Shadowjack's empire. Despite that, elderly Granny Witch told Danny the Dark Druid that she uses sinister discipline to correct the results of her great proteges in order to make sure they don't repeat any past mistakes or failings. And either way, the device is ready, as she told Danny the Dark Druid herself as well. On the great day of May, on the 29th of May, Danny the Doctor was quietly seen purposely punishing elderly Granny Witch for her sadistic failures in compromising the future plans and long-term plans and goal of Lord Shadowjack and of Lord Ra, sinisterly actually torturing her to death with a powerful destructive cane of a device which he always exactly wields, but he carries a powerful destructive wand, a black wand, which he purposely carries, and also quite invisibly hides it so that it doesn't show he has any wands or any weapons with him as well. Regardless of, he was quietly torturing Elodie Granny Witch for sadistic failure and for her compromising the plans of his master and of his master's long long time partners, plans, and goals in the process. The two leaders, the two respective leaders of the two respective forces, were able to put aside their differences and stated that their goals still hold purpose, and that they were able to come through. They were able to come through each other, and stated that their plans still hold purpose, and then everything else they're about to do is highly organized. And the two of them were able to shake hands, stated to each other that their plans still hold fruit, and that they were able to exactly come to an agreement that which will soon benefit them both in many mysterious ways as well. On the actual 19th of August, Danny the Doctor was quietly seen visiting the sister home planet of the Hive Sisters, where he was able to secretly open up a portal to secretly supply Hive brother to excuse me to secretly supply not Hive brother, Sinister brother, who is a brother of Mind Girl, who is the original member of the Universal Heroes with the destructive technology, and stated to him that Lord Shadowjack doesn't expect any failures, any compromisation, but he told the operative that he's very grateful to see the species fighting amongst himself, which he always exactly relishes, which will always benefit his master's goals and his plans more faster. They'll be able to accelerate the progress and its plans in a more quicker way. That by also doing so, he will have supreme control over this planet and over the world sooner rather than later. And the alien operative agreed, then that is exactly in his common interest to make sure that his master will benefit that as well. On the actual day of the 17th of September, Danny the Doctor was quietly present within Lord Shadowjack's throne room, where he was able to tell his master and leader that the preparations are quietly set to go and that everything else is ready to proceed on according to plan. Lord Shadowjack quietly remained in silent and listened and quietly did not show any signs of being highly aggressive or being highly relentlessly aggressive or anything else. But judging by the way he was looking at his great servant, he actually told him psychically with his telepathic powers to proceed on with the operation itself as well. On the particular day, on the 25th of October, Danny the Dark Druid and the rest of the other dark witches, which were quietly present within his sinister dark laboratory that's quietly on another sinister beautiful world of a planet that houses beautiful forms and worlds and beautiful greater forms and worlds and planets of great fairies and witches and light druids, all coexisting with great powerful random formation hunters and light hunters and great refugees who have been literally been trying to remove themselves from the dark wars of the sacred worlds wars and conflicts in the process as well. Excuse me. Beneath the planet's surface, there's a secretive dark mysterious laboratory where Denny the Doctor was able to work in full secrecy, where he was able to tell his allies that the creature is ready to proceed with its true given respective purpose and sole mission and given assignment as well. The Dark Witches agreed, and that is exactly what they should focus on and moving on as well, by giving its true assignment and true nature as well. On the 9th of November, Danny the Doctor was able to teleport the creature to a sinister dark winter forest, where the creature was able to personally remove its dark purple cloak of its true form and becoming more beautiful and becoming a more beautiful person and a more beautiful person and of a more beautiful pretty man instead. And Danny the Doctor gave this creature a powerful hidden assignment to tracking down a powerful creature that possesses its unique power to amplify and to give power to those strongest and most powerful ancient creatures of all throughout sacred history, which it was quietly told and mentioned through the great ancient prophecies and through the ancient great archives of the entire sacred magic histories books and archives and schools and libraries and also through his own basic research, which was able to find. The creature agreed, and that is exactly what he would do but in return, the creature wanted to make sure that he can also create an army and followers of his own. And Danny the Dark Druid told the creature that he see no problem in him creating an army and allegiance of his own soldiers and followers, and a legion of his own, a great legiancies of his great legiancies of his great soldiers and followers of his own, which will also serve Lord Shadowjack's sinister goal, which he has a different another goal, and then many other goals, which will soon serve as one of his goals faster as well in the process, as the creature began to agree on that as well. After that, Danny the Doctor opened up a purple portal and entered the purple portal and teleported within it without being detected as well. On the near end of December, which was the 29th of December, Danny the Doctor was able to convene with the great secretive conspirators of the sacred great nations in a hidden abandoned cave, where he was able to tell them that the preparations and everything else are all set to go, and that everything else must proceed accordingly, as they all agreed that they've done their part and that the great sacred exams have moved into their favors, which the other secret ancient criminal organizations will begin using them to their advantage, to finding one of the most powerful beings and creatures in order to draw their powers and extract their powers and plunge them inside the monster statue. And Danny the Dark Druid seemed very satisfied with that as well. On the 10th of January, Danny the Dark Druid was able to meet up with the great sacred ancient stages, with the great sacred ancient stages of the Red Empire within the great volcanic temple island, where the volcanic temple island is quietly located in the eastern area. That's quite far from the western area of the entire Four Nation Hunter homelands, and of the great cities, and of the great cities of wall cities, and of the great cities of wall cities, and of the great cities of Power City and of Nature City as well, which was quite far off from the great eastern side. And within the sacred borders of the Red Empire nation's borders, not within the borders of the Power City's borders itself as well. Despite that, he was able to meet up with the great sacred stages and telling them that it's time for them to begin the final result, which they open up the secretive ancient dark chamber with the ancient fire power technique. And so did Dan. Was able to utilize his fire power technique, opening up the secret metal door with a fire power technique. The great door held up a huge monstrous figure, actually held up a huge metalish, monstrous, dragonish, a very abominous dark dragon, vampiric dragon monster of abomination, which was quietly unmentioned throughout vampire history and throughout Four Nation Hunter history, which the two exactly have something in common as well against this creature and against this monster as well itself. The door began opening. As they were able to enter the chamber, they saw another powerful ancient monster statue, and he told the great stages that it's time for them to begin highly effectively moving forward with the ritual itself. On the 10th of February, Danny the Dark Druid was able to return throughout the central headquarters of Lord Shadowjack's empire, telling his lord and master that the preparations are set to go, that all they need is for them to begin the part of the sealing ritual. Lord Shadowjack exactly stared at the entire landscape, and his greatest right-hand man of his warlord told him that the master agrees that the ritual must begin, as Lord Shadowjack still remained staring in front of the landscape without even moving and without even looking back. And Danny the Dark Druid was very pleased with that as well. On the actual 29th of March, Danny the Dark Druid and the rest of the great sacred stages, or the most evilest stages of all, began facilitating the sealing ritual, where they were able to exactly house a host, and extracting the creature's powers and abilities and plunging them inside the monster statue, as the monster statue eyes began opening slowly, And Danny the Dark Druid exactly stated to the members that it's going to take more time and a lot more time than it actually really is. The other stage is exactly that it's meant to actually do that as well in order for it to taking more time, because the concentration of the movements and more members will likely plant within the hands of the monster statue will definitely take more time for the sealing ritual to proceed in taking highly substantial more time than it actually presently actually did. On the on the 13th of April, Danny the Dark Druid was quietly inside the Dark Witch School, the Great Dark Witch School and Colleges of the Witches, where he was able to learn about a forbidden dark ability and a technique where the great legendary king of darkness was able to harness the power of manipulating shadows and darkness and different elemental powers and forbidden secretive techniques and nature transformation, which Danny wanted to unlock the all technique, the greatest technique of all, the all of creation technique, the technique which resides of manipulating reality, nightmares, and fantasy all in one. He discovered that he can himself can fulfill that techniques as well. On the 10th of May, Danny the Great Doctor was able to meet up with the Dark Witches on meet up with the Great Dark Witches on a secretive hideout, which was quietly within the forest, where they were able to speaking about those techniques and literally sharing them about themselves, since they all have managed to crack the secrets about the legendary King of Darkness and about the Fallen's powers and about the abilities as well, and about Valak Hellfire, who was also able to utilize different forbidden formation abilities, which will become very crucial for them to highly adapt and evolve. He agreed to them that it's time for them to use these abilities and its techniques for themselves, since their bodies can actually take them and give into them, unlike the original World of Magic, whose body was too weak and too highly substantially deteriorating from his greatest effect of shadow energy, which resulted in him growing weaker and less substantially weaker and getting sicker in the end. But he was completely substantially immortal and more powerful and more dangerous than he was exactly, which is why he was quietly known as a legendary great original Lord of Magic, due to that with him withstanding the power of the sickness and the power of the great sickness and the power of the great sickness and of the deterioration of shadow energy. He's still able to overcome it, and he still was able to endure it all. Regardless of that, the Sinister Witches agreed that that is exactly what they'll do as well. On the 10th of June, within the secret hideout of the forest, the mighty wanted fugitive of the deadliest of the deadliest more of the deadliest of the great deadliest Phoenician hunter wanted criminal was able to create a network of deadlier and most of secretive hideouts across the entire sacred great nation, due to him being in powerful, sinister organization, and in learning the secret history and learning the entire sacred history of the entire sacred worlds, different respective homeworlds, nations, countries, civilizations, aliens' involvement, their powers, their abilities, all of that, and was able to create a very powerful, wide network of systems of hideout, which secretly the other ancient powerful Phoenician criminals were able to supply him the network, and the other super criminals and super villains on planet Earth were also able to supply him the knowledge and the resource with the connections that they have with the Shadow Empire warlords. They each all secretly shared the distribution of the knowledges and of the techniques. Due to his hideout, he was able to provide the dark wizards, warlocks, witches for them to focus their training in full secrecy and within the shadows as well. Over time, Danny the Doctor began to understand the full scope of the original Lord of Magic sinister master plan, which he discovered, he was the first of all others the first of all others was able to discover his sinister master plan. Due to the great expectation that he's not his follower and not his greatest follower, but either way, he respected him, and he quietly shown true great appreciation of the great original Lord of Magic, and for standing up and for speaking what needed to be spoken by. He's the only one who was able to secretly discover his secretive plan, but no one else was able to literally unlock his secretive plan. But the enemies who was quietly fighting us, they also couldn't unlock his secretive plan. he was actually planning on transferring his subconsciousness to another powerful immortal body. He knew that in the end that he was quietly dying, which his immortal body still had those abilities and powers still quietly installed him, which was able he was planning to literally systematically transfer his subconsciousness into another body, where that body also had more power and more deadly abilities and forbidden powers and techniques, which was able to discover to utilize. He was able to discover the host of the ritual, who became a sinister prodigy and a great shadowy successor of the great original world of magic, who he was very quietly fond of, and decided to tell the witches that he was very highly successfully pleased that this greater protege was exactly a mysterious figure that no one else ever actually knew, and that it's time for him to pay a visit to the goddess of power herself. On the great day on the 25th of June, then the great powerful doctor was able to teleport through the central headquarters of Amber, the goddess of power, who is known by another alias as the Witcher Powers layer, where she was very quietly intrigued to see Danny the Dark Druid, and Danny the Dark Druid personally exactly confronted her that she knew what the Grand Master was planning after all these centuries, and you quietly knew about it from the very end. Yes, Amber quietly literally told Danny that she was not quietly surprised and shocked that you, out of all the other excuse me, that you of all the other powerful, sinister, dark followers of the magic users who you'll be the one in order to figure out his master secretive plan. Despite that, he quietly exactly told Danny that she's very quietly impressed with him and very quietly honored that you are the one who was able to discover his secret, and in doing so, she gained her recognition by doing this secretive planning. Despite that, Danny the Doctor had told Amber that where can he find this powerful, suitable protege that he was able to hide in full secrecy. Amber told Danny that the protege is quietly unknown and quietly was never meant to be unknown. Where he's hiding and where he quietly remains was only meant for the only original person to know, where he quietly kept him in hidden and in secrecy, that when the day he returns, he will be the one to make his full returning. At his terms and at his own terms, which Amber personally agreed with that. And Danny teleported away and left. On the 13th of August, Daniel the Doctor was able to meet up with Lord Shadowjack, telling his master and lord that he discovered a forbidden dark secret that could change the outcome of the sacred society's worlds and conflicts and wars, and the power vacuum that's highly consuming the Shadow Empire itself, with a deadly, warring, sinister dark threat that's quietly still literally hiding in full shadows of the entire sacred universe's wars. Lord Shadowjack was quietly very surprised, and he decided it's best that they actually pull some of their resources to find this sinister, dark, shadowy prodigy before anyone else can get to him, which he does possess forbidden powers and forbidden technical abilities as well. And Danny showed his lord and master a powerful secretive scroll that contained a secretive great shadow, a secretive great sacred shadow founder, a secretive great shadow, sacred shadow founder of the sacred universe, who is sitting on a very ancient throne of a chair, and with great powerful sinister candles of light of green and of orange were glowing right beside him, and his hands were quietly sitting there, and a powerful symbol of the sacred world, which was quietly invoked in a different purple color of an S itself, telling him that this illustration and that all these ancient words were symbolizing a powerful ritual was conducted at that ancient time, where before none of them were completely born, meaning that it's very crucial that they find this prodigy before anyone else does. Lord Shadowjack agreed that it's time they do what they can before the war becomes unimbalanced itself as well. Despite this, guys, Danny the Dark Druid is very ruthless, very heartless, very powerful, very dangerous, and very unknown, and very systematically secretive as well. He possesses the forbidden powers and techniques of shapeshifting, which he can shapeshift and morph and change color of his skin and change the color of his eyes and all of that. And due to his beautiful, handsome face and his true appearance, he can exactly do that as well. projection. He can easily create an astral shadowy projection of himself. The power of great duplication by splitting a different part of his body to another part of his body, converging dark magic with the dark arts, converging the power of the magic of the dark arts and of science as well, and the great power of opening portals, interdimensional traveling, the power of using crystal powers and magic at will, and creating dark magical orbs of dark magic to awaken and to resurrect the dead, the power of ultimate summoning. He has the ability of summoning ultimate creatures and monsters and animals which are very dangerous and which are very powerful shadowy creatures that can fight for him and they can defend him as well. The power of also to actually subconsciously subconsciously transferring his subconscious straightly to another body in order for him to fight his adversaries and foes as well, due to him studying the forbidden ancient techniques of the most dangerous, powerful, sinister, shadowy criminals that he was able to learn about as well. Throughout sacred history and throughout 4 Nation Hunter history, 7 Nation Hunter history, vampire history, werewolf history, dark history, war history, and any type of different sacred societies' histories as well, he was able to master those abilities as well. And also the great power of manipulating shadow energy and of light energy at will, and with the power of manipulating the great elemental energies and powers of darkness, light, light, earth, fire, wind, air, and the power of sealing creatures, summoning creatures, resurrecting, and the power of the great power of the dead, of detection and of sensory perception and of seeing reality through different eyes and performing different powerful hand seals and different forbidden powerful techniques and unknown dark abilities of powers and of sinister elemental energies and techniques which he can easily master with ace, and we can easily master with ace and with ease and with a faster, quicker way as well. He's very smart, very ruthless and very harmless and very a powerful, deadly mastermind of a dark servant and a leader of his own group of dark magic users known as the dark druids, the dark witches, and the dark maple. And he leads them with great authority, and they are very proud to have him as their leader. He believes in his master's mission and goals, in him becoming the supreme ruler, and is willing to facilitate his plans and his goals in a more destructive way. He even has the greatest ability of creation itself, the all power of all creation itself, and the ability of life creation and of shadow creation and of light creation, which he uses wisely and very quietly, greatly. He possesses shadowy, dark, devastating abilities and of light abilities as well. He's very destructive and very heartless as well. He shows no he doesn't show no compassion or nothing else to any of his enemies, and especially to Warboy and the members of the Universal Heroes, which he doesn't actually show any compassion to them. Rather, he's willing to destroy them and he's willing to wipe them out personally. Despite that, he does create deadly, dangerous, sophisticated weapons and deadly, highly cosmic, destructive weapons, which he supplies to his alien operatives and alien allies who come from different sister worlds and different great sacred nations, which he supplies them frequently, and to other, which he also shares a common interest with the other respective sacred conspirators of the sacred great nations who are quietly part of within the entire sacred council itself as well, which he secretly conspires with them to making sure that sacred histories, great nations are recorded the way they are meant to be recorded, which personally would also lead to the plans of the Sacred Circle and the plans of Lord Shadowjack's goal to finally bear fruit in a more faster way without it being detected or being known by the allies of the Universal Heroes. By doing so, he's quietly good at learning how his enemies fight and how they battle together as well. And he views Universal Magic Girl as a threat to his plan, and also the members of the Universal Magic Heroes as a threat to his plan. He's very noble to his mission, but highly obligated to serving the will of Lord Shadowjack and his empire by any means necessary. He will do whatever it takes to make sure Lord Shadowjack rules over everything, meaning ruling over everything. The entire sacred universe at his fingertips will be at his sole control. That is all what Danny the Dark Druid cares about, making sure that the supreme ruling leader of the entire sacred universe and of the entire sacred universe and of the entire sacred great nation is Lord Shadowjack. He knows from his personal experience that his master and lord is more powerful and more dangerous as well. He manages to gain the respect and recognition from Amber, the goddess of power, who is also another powerful figure who is not meant to be underestimated, who is the wife of the original Lord of Magic, who is the wife of the original Lord of Magic as well. Due to that, the two of them do share common interest for wanting more knowledge and more desire of understanding the dark monsters' physiology and of their powers and of their abilities as well, which the two of them combine their resources with their followers and with their sinister agents as well, which can help them better understand the power of life and death. He has the greatest, most powerful ability of mastering the greatest all-powerful ability of all all creation technique, and of the great ability of the life technique and of the death technique, which he manages to study and master with ease, and the ability of nature, of the ability of the great ability of mastering the great abilities of nature transformation at will, which he can also master with ease as well. He is very quietly formidable member of the great sacred stages, which they all exactly join together to sealing the powers and extracting the powers of the dark wizards, witches and warlocks, and of the beautiful ones and of the light ones, and implanting them inside the monster statue as well. Despite that, he's highly resilient. He respects each high-ranking official of Lord Shadowjack's Dark Empire, such as Dark Mary, who's a powerful dark witch and elderly granny witch as well, and is a great different evil warlords and warlocks and wizards and druids of Lord Shadowjack's empire, which some of them are not exactly his followers, which work for Lord Shadowjack as his great high-ranking officials. Either way, he respects them and they respect him, and they all work together with different ways and different method. He prefers using destructive method. The others prefer using cleaner and less attracting methods to the enemy. But he knows from experience that the universal heroes do pose a threat, and he swears to himself never to repeat his failings, which he always does. He's very good at maintaining his individual bases as well as his central headquarters, which he has many secretive hideouts across the great secretive nations, across the great secretive nations of the sacred world, which he uses them in order to study the forbidden greater techniques of powers and of abilities. He even has the power and the ability of great lightning energy, which is lightning powers and ability are solely purple, literally purple, as in this purple, but not this type of purple that I'm wearing, this darker purple the darker purple, the actual darkerish purple, the actual darkerish purple that he can exactly wield and control. He's very good with dark magic. His power is so dark and solely primordial. He's very good in studying sacred histories, wars, battles, and conflicts, learning about the great legendary king of darkness, and about the fallen, and about the ancient threats which he believes are still highly actively alive as well. Due to that, he knows the knowledge of the sacred worlds, sacred histories, and wars and battles, and was able to find many hideouts and many headquarters throughout the entire sacred great nations lands and sacred nations lands and borders as well. He's very resourceful and very highly influential, 12 leveling intellect, very keen, highly observant, totally ruthless, but not arrogant, has a dark desire and a dark ambition to see his creations bear fruit. He houses a dark, sinister laboratory of great cryogenetic free stasis hibernation pods of monsters, creatures, beings that he can create and perfect by replicating the genetic DNA, by replicating the great genetic DNA of the genetic genome, where he can easily manipulate the DNAs of the creatures and of their bloodline, so he can also understand their great physiology and their great physiology and their great powers, so he can also make his creations highly powerful and more highly effective, and also immune to Formation Hunter attacks and abilities, and also immune to fairies, to the great magic fairies of the sacred magic universe, to be immune to the attacks, and to the wizards, warlocks, and to the other different sacred heroes of the universal heroes and of their respective allies. He also bears the power of immunity and the power of creating dark light, purple light, power, energy of great light magic. But he's very skillful in shape-shifting and with the power of summoning creating dark portals to summoning creatures and monsters. Very resourceful. He's also shown to be kind to his allies and to the ones who are kind to him. But despite that, he knows that sacred reality is always meant to belong to his master's supreme control, which is Lord Shadowjack. And he will use his forbidden techniques and dark arts powers and magical powers and dark expertise and talents and historical studies to make sure that his master's reign remains supreme by any means necessary, including to his allies as well, also making sure that they are also remaining in power. Well, guys, excuse me. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I'll actually see you tomorrow on Monday. I'll upload today's episode on TikTok and the other episodes on Shorts on the other episodes on Shorts in YouTube. And from those of you who are actually watching it, but from those of you who are actually watching long videos, you'll receive this episode on Monday morning, which I'll be able to upload as well before we continue to the next super villain or criminal superhero. Either way. Well, despite that, guys, enjoy your blessed weekend and have a great day. I'll see you on next week, Monday. Just to be well aware, the holidays are quietly approaching. So I'm going to have to do everything in my power for us to get to the good side, to get to the greatest good side of one of the most powerful, prominent, sinister creatures and beings and monsters that I've managed to write about as well, since you guys will be very highly intrigued. But for those of you guys who don't know about the others, you'll find them on YouTube on long videos on Billy Yo's channel, and you'll be able to find them there. For those of you quietly subscribing and following me, I'm very thankful for you, and I'm also very thankful for the ones in YouTube and from Shorts and from TikTok. Have a blessed day, and I love you all, and take care of yourself, and dress warm, and stay safe, and stay happy. Just know I'm also rooting for you guys. Also rooting for you guys. So stay happy and stay safe. Bye. Bye.